punishment for accountability as leaders? Do the leaders mistake punishment for accountability by saying, well, I'm going to be tough on crime, but who are we punishing at some point in these cases that you just pointed out? That's why I wanted to hit this straight off. The public mistakes any reform for what? What are they going to say? Soft on crime, right? That's what all comes to our head. And is it soft on crime to these leaders to hold somebody accountable, as the senator just talked about, for breaking a law or not following the rules? But when we punish somebody for 25 years, who will be hurting? If they can't provide for their own kids, if they can't visit their own kids in school, we're punishing ourselves, aren't we? And we're degrading the culture. So I wanted you all to comment on how you approach that and what you see when you get to a situation where people are leery, other leaders that you're trying to talk to, and they feel, are you talking about having me go soft? How is it that you address that with them to talk about the accountability aspects of what you're doing? I'll start with the Congressman.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention too that Craig kind of teed up in the introduction is how important it is for you all to be engaged and to be talking to your elected officials, so your state reps, state senators, members of Congress, because as they hear from you, we gain courage. I think the biggest thing for many elected officials is feeling like I'm going to be the only one out there talking about this. But it is so important for us to have courage in the jobs that we're in. So, I mean, a couple thoughts come to mind for me. First of all is we need to elect people that are there to do something, not be somebody, and that they really want to get something done. And so they're concerned about their reelection, but not so much they're not willing to do important, right things. So you have to make sure that you've got people who are serving in the state office and federal office that there's some things they're willing to lose an election over. But our hope is that we're educating people enough to know that this isn't one of them. This is something that's doing the right thing, and it's a conservative thing. Just was looking at some numbers. You know, I think it was state of California came out with numbers that for them, the cost of sending a college student to school is a little under $9,000. For them to send someone to prison is about $45,000 a year. And so just thinking conservatively, we are wasting money by just throwing people in jail without the hope of having them come out. And you see the vast number of federal inmates right now are nonviolent inmates who are there on drug crimes. And we've got to be talking about that, of the cost of that, and are we making someone who was a non-violent offender into someone who becomes more violent because of their incarceration? This is stuff we have to be talking about. One of the things we were talking about before as well that I saw in Illinois, and I know Craig mentioned he saw it specifically in Michigan, was how we've used prisons and the correction system as economic development for some of our poor communities. And the idea that, well, their poor communities are fighting to have a prison there so that they can have all those jobs and all that economic development. And we fight to keep prisons there even though they shouldn't be there any longer. They're really not serving a purpose. They're not safe. People fight to keep them there because it's the lifeblood for the community. Well, again, that is ridiculous. I mean, that's broken. We've got to be talking through that of how that is not economic development. Prison systems should never be there just to build up an economy. We should try and bring good businesses there, good manufacturing. Everything else is really what we should be doing. And if you saw the amount of money that we put into our prison system, if we can even just put a fraction of that into economic development, into some of these troubled, struggling communities, we'd see a vast turnaround. So we need you to be engaged. We need you to be talking and meeting with your elected officials, letting them know how you feel, getting them real information, helping them to be empowered. So when difficult votes come up and they are able to get up and speak and say, I'm not being soft on crime. In fact, just the opposite. I want real change. I'm not just ignoring these people. I'm going to be invested to make sure that lives do change, and that we stop this cycle of recidivism, revolving doors of prisons, where I hear so often from our local prisons that as they're having people leave, a lot of times they'll just say, see you later, see you in a few months, because they know they're going to be back. That's got to change. The other thing we have to be honest and talk about is the racial disproportionality of our prison system. And we talk about justice and fairness, and it's just there's obviously a problem there when you're getting in the court system, you're getting the defense you can afford. And some of those people who can't afford a good defense are the ones that ultimately are ending up in prison. Those who can afford a good defense oftentimes are not. And we see that on the big headline cases, but you also see it day to day in our court systems. And we've got to talk about this. If we really are committed to justice, we